Hello, friends. We are back, and it has been a whirlwind. Let me tell you. I know that I've talked in the last few episodes about how crazy life has been, and I think it all just caught up with me. So last week, I had to take a beat and take a breath and take a rest. We also laid my uncle to rest last week after a long battle with cancer, and the energy of the world and life felt so heavy. And so I had to take some time and honor that and allow myself to just be, just be for a minute. And I'm so grateful that I did because it feels so much better to be back here, to be, recording this podcast without the blanket of pressure that I would have been carrying if I would have done it last week. When we show up in places when we really don't have the capacity, it dilutes the impact that our presence can make. And I'm a firm believer and saying no to things when you really feel like you don't have it in you. Yeah, there are going to be some things that you can't say no to and you have to show up for. So it's important to save your energy for those things. It's important to save your energy for the things that you have to be present for. And so that your energy can be more concentrated. And I think that that is a universal message, whether it's creating content online and having an online presence, whether it's spending time with your family or showing up for social events with your friends, you have to honor where you are. And yes, that can be hard and difficult sometimes, but it's also really important. And I think that, again, it can make your presence in people's lives that much more impactful. So, that was kind of a long winded intro and a way of saying that I took a break last week because I needed it. And I wanted to be able to be here and be present with each and every one of you listening. So here I am back in the chair with the microphone off the script once again, because life has been off the script. So we might as well just follow suit. And what it got me thinking about this last week. We're in eclipse season. Again, the energy of the world and personally in my life has felt extremely heavy. And so I've been doing a lot of reflecting. I've been doing a lot of resting. And I've been doing a lot of moments in quiet. I've been spending a lot of time in the quiet. Normally, I'm the person that if I'm driving in the car, I have the music turned up really loud, or I have an audiobook on, or I'm calling somebody to catch up and talk with them. And I've caught myself lately in the last couple weeks spending that time, spending random times throughout the day in complete quiet. And I think that it's because the noise has been getting really loud. The noise has been getting really loud in my own life with lots of changes that are unfolding. The noise has been getting really loud in the world, and social media has just been a really hard place to be. And so even though I'm still trying to show up and I'm still trying to be present, um, I've had to really try and reduce the noise that I am consuming and giving myself those pockets of silence. And it's been really profound. It's been really profound in a way to help to keep me grounded in the middle of all of the chaos. It's been a way that's allowed me to really focus on where I'm at and check in with myself. And it's really made me notice how I used to constantly fill the quiet. I used to constantly fill the quiet because I used to be so uncomfortable with it, because most of the time it's when we're in the quiet that our intuition starts to speak to us. And that can feel uncomfortable sometimes when it's telling us things that we don't necessarily want to hear, or it's bringing things to the surface that we aren't really wanting to pay attention to in that moment. And so I think it's just been another building block and getting closer to myself in this season and staying more grounded, even though that has felt very, very difficult. And I don't know. It was one of the things that I did this morning before I sat down and recorded this podcast. As I was driving home from taking the kids to school, I didn't turn on the radio. I didn't turn on an audiobook. I didn't call anyone, even though like I had those little like drops of wanting to do that. It's like these little instincts of wanting to do that. And something inside said, no, let's just sit in the quiet. And I think it was because the message that I wanted to share today was starting to form. It was starting to drop in. It was starting to, want to be heard and want to be spoken. And I don't know. I just think that that's a really cool gift that we can give to ourselves that requires no money. It requires no energy. It requires nothing out of us outside of maybe just being a little bit uncomfortable. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to share today is like sometimes it's about less. It's about doing less. It's about surrounding yourself with less so that you can begin to create more from within. And whatever that means for you in your life or however that resonates, follow it. And I just encourage you to do that. Spend some time this weekend and in the next week, sitting in the quiet, sitting in the silence without the radio, without a phone call, without social media to distract you, and just see what comes up. See what's ready to be paid attention to. And for me, when I was sitting in the quiet this morning, I got to thinking about how many times in my life I have had to start over. And we start over so many times in our lives without even realizing it because we're always changing, we're always evolving, we're always undergoing some kind of transformation, whether we witness it, whether we participate in it or not, especially in eclipse season times. And this one has felt even more powerful and profound in my life currently. Number one, because it's hitting some main points in my birth chart. And just collectively, I think it's really pushing us all to really realign ourselves with the intention in which we choose to live. And so as I started thinking about that, as I've been thinking about and like dealing with this heavy energy and allowing myself to be realigned, I just thought like, gosh, like you have started over so many times. I've been divorced twice in my 20s, and those are really, really big things to go through at such a young age. And it doesn't matter if you have an easeful divorce, and you get along and you can still co parent well and have a new family dynamic despite the fact that you're no longer married, or if you're going through a harsh divorce and things have gotten, ugly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which path, which avenue your divorce follows. Either way, it's a starting over point. You entered into a marriage with the idea of what your life was going to be and what your life was going to look like. And that is coming to an end. And the version of you that entered that marriage, that was a part of that marriage, and that is coming out of that marriage is all very different people. And so it's this act of starting over from scratch of like, who am I now? What have I learned and what have I gathered from this experience? At least if you're going through it in a healthy way. That's the questions that you're asking. But you're looking at life and it's completely different. The way in which you see the world, the way in which you see relationships, the way in which you see love is going to be different than what it was. And so you're starting over in all of these new ways in life, and you're starting over from the ways in which you view them and your beliefs about them. And that may be starting from a better place than what it was before. It may be starting from a worse place. That's okay either way. It's just the awareness of understanding that you are at this starting over point. And I think that that transitions into grief. And when you lose loved ones and you are dealing with death, physical death here on earth. And I myself have gone through multiple like tragic deaths with friends of mine that I have lost again in my 20s, carrying into my 30s. Now losing an uncle from cancer. It's my first uncle. I've lost an aunt this past year as well from cancer. And so each time I lose someone that I love, again, it's like this other little like refresh button of starting over because you learn something about life every time somebody is lost. And for me, it just opened my eyes up even more to how precious our existence here is. It opens my eyes up to see how important it is to live a life that you truly love because you never know when it may come to an end. It's also changed my relationship with death and how I have so much faith in what exists on the other side because I know that these people that we've lost are still here. They're still so close to us, even though they're not physically on this earth any longer. Their spirits are still so powerful and they're still so present in our lives. And so, again, you reach this like starting over point. When you lose someone that you love, you have to, again, look at how you saw life before and look at how you see life after they're gone. And as we transition this further, it goes into the times that we have to start over because we lose who we are, or we don't know who we are, or we go through some change or transformation like divorce or death or depression. And we have to see how significantly we have changed and how starting over is going to be a consistent and constant thing that we have to do in life. Now, for some of us, more often than others. And I had this moment in the last week where I was just like so fed up with feeling like I'm starting over. Like so fed up with this feeling of like I've done so much work and I've tried really hard and I have gone out on the limb and I have taken the leap and every time I do it, yes, it leads me to these beautiful and wonderful things, but it also, I feel like, leads me to a new starting line. Like every time I get to a finish line, I feel like I'm also meeting a new starting line. And sometimes that can get frustrating. You have to honor that. It can't just be like cupcakes and rainbows all of the time because that's bullshit. Like we have this full emphasis of emotions that we experience through this life, and we have to honor all of them. I have been someone who has skipped over the anger and the frustration because it makes me uncomfortable. I don't feel comfortable being angry. And so I very quickly try to push to compassion. And that's beautiful. And it's something that I love about myself. But I also have to honor the anger that arises, the exhaustion that arises, the uncomfortable feelings that come up when I have to deal with grief or when I have to deal with depression or when I have gone through and experienced, divorce and navigate co-parenting with these people that I have intense histories with. I have great relationships with my ex-husband, but we all have experienced like these intense histories with each other. And we're all human going through like kind of intense changes right now individually. And so that's not always going to be super easy to navigate. Do we do it very well? Absolutely. But we're all experiencing our own set of emotions while it's happening, while also parenting two very different children. And so I don't know, this feels kind of all over the place, but I think it's so relatable because how many of us are constantly like moving through, pushing through life, like going, going, going. And attempting something new or starting a new job or a new year in school or a new relationship, a new hobby, a new passion project, a new year without someone close to us that we loved being a part of it. And we have to figure out how to start over. We have to figure out how we exist in this new reality. And that can be hard and that can be uncomfortable. And that's where I've been feeling like I have been. So much of the old patterns, old belief systems, old emotions are being brought to the surface for me to not necessarily do anything about, but observe and see how they have served me in the past, but are no longer going to serve me in the future. And I feel like this is all for a reason. It's setting me up. It's setting you up, whatever it is that's coming up for you. It's setting us up for what is to come. It's setting us up to live by these new intentions, but it's also not also always easy to navigate. And we have to honor that. We have to honor the in between. We have to honor the in between in the same ways that we honor the past and we look forward to the future. And the in between is like messy and chaotic and weird and confusing and creates like a very rambly thought process that you put out on a podcast and share with the world. But that's okay because I know and I trust that this conversation is going to relate to the people that it is meant to relate to. And it will find them and it will find you. And if it has found you, then you needed to hear this because you needed to know that you're not alone. And if you're in this period of starting over, like that's okay. That is okay. You're being tested, you're being challenged, you're exhausted, but it's all with reason. It's all with reason because we go through these really hard things. We go through these really hard things in life, and we have to just be willing to start over, to clean the slate, to begin again, to see how we can come out on the other side of this closer to our divine self, closer to that version of us that feels free and that can move and flow with life because we're going to move in and out of flow with life continuously. But that version of us that is in flow, that is feeling it, that is grounded and passionate and pursuing what it is that makes us feel alive. And that can change day to day. It doesn't mean that it's going to be like long seasons of that. That is life. That is how we learn and grow. But also the awareness of it, the awareness of the series of starting over within our lives is also what keeps us continually closer and closer and closer to who we're truly meant to be. And I think I have to remind myself of that. I have to remind myself of that because I have to remind myself that it's okay to be frustrated by it. I have to remind myself that it's okay to get angry and exhausted and to give myself what I need in those moments and to give myself voice in those moments, but also knowing that those emotions are pushing me closer. Those emotions are pushing me through that new beginning. They're pushing me to where I'm actually meant to be and just like gathering all of the things that I'm meant to gather along the way. Because every single time I have found myself challenged, I found myself low, I have found myself once again starting over, I am reminded at how much I have already gone through. I'm reminded of how much grit and resilience I do have. And that's something to celebrate. It's gotten me so far, but it's also okay for me to like lay down my swords and really move through maybe this new beginning with some grace. I don't always have to charge at it. I don't always have to figure it out. Maybe this is a season, this is a time of leaning into how graceful I can start over again. Mainly right now, it's been with my career and it's been with a lot of parts of my personality and my identity and the things that I've attached to that. And I used to force myself to figure it out. When I was going through both of my divorces, it was like, okay, I'm on my own here. And I can do this. I can take care of myself and I can take care of my children and I know what to do and I know how to navigate it and I'm going to show up. I'm going to take care of it and I'm going to create relationships with these men that are different, but I'm going to have the capacity to do that and give our daughters the best life possible. They also made the choice to show up and participate in that and do that with me. I can't take all of the credit. Every single time I went through a significant bout of just depression, I had to show up 50%. Yeah, I 100% believe that my support system and the people that love me also helped carry me through that, as well as God and my faith. But I had to be there too. I had to be there too to show up and get myself through that. I had to show up and be like, okay, like this feels like shit. And that's okay. We're going to honor it. We're going to honor it. The same way that I've had to deal with the grief of losing the ones that I've loved. There have been supportive people in my life. There has been God there always supporting and loving me behind the scenes. But I have been a huge part of that, pushing myself forward. And again, I have a deep appreciation for that grit. I think we all have ways in which grit has showed up in our life and resilience has showed up in our life. And it's been super, super powerful. But I also think now so many of us are being challenged to lean into the grace. We're being challenged to lean into the grace, lean into that feminine side of us that wants to be soft, that wants to not only give love, but be loved. And it's strange. It's strange. It's strange for me. And I say that as a woman. Like, it's strange to lean into that after like being somebody who can handle their shit. I can handle my shit. I know I can handle my shit. But right now, I don't want to. I don't want to handle it. I want it to teach me and show me. And also, like, I just want it to be okay that I don't want to handle it. And I think that that's where the grace comes in. Like, it's going to be a little messy right now. Am I excited for what the future is going to bring? Absolutely. Do I honor how beautiful the past has been and what it has given me and what it has taught me? Yeah, for sure. But right here in this middle, in this space between, like, I just need some grace because it's going to be chaotic. And I've had these conversations with my clients lately because of all of these big changes that are happening within my career and adding on to my house to put in a podcast studio and a salon and an office space. You know what? I keep telling them I am excited. I'm excited for where I'm going. I'm excited for what the future holds. I'm excited for the outcome, but I know the middle is going to be really messy and chaotic. And so I just have to give myself grace and ask for grace from others in the process. You know, financially, it's been this really big point of starting over and looking at my beliefs around money and understanding how those are shifting and those are changing, but also how it's changing my relationship with receiving help, receiving money, receiving support. I don't have to figure it all out by myself right now. And that feels scary. And for all of my hyper independent women out there, you know what I'm talking about. It could be men too. But when you have to start taking a look at that relationship that you have with receiving, mm, man, it's scary. But it's also shown me how supported I am. It's also shown me how loved I am. It's also showed me how like God works in our lives through other people sometimes too. And in the same ways that God works through each and every one of us or the universe, you choose your verbiage, whatever higher power you believe in, we have to be willing to see it. We have to be willing to receive it and accept it and understand that it's not forever, that it is okay, that it's okay to be vulnerable and honest about where you are. It's important to be vulnerable and honest about where you are. And if that's at a point of starting over, if you feel like all of the past is clearing out and letting go and releasing, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, or in a very specific place in your life, like let it, observe it, let it be what it is. You don't have to do anything right now except for just let go. Let go. That's what we're going to do right now. Okay. This is different. This is weird, but I just feel called to do that. Right now, we're going to just sit for a minute, and whatever it is that you're being called to release, whatever it is that you're being called to let go, I want you to just envision it in the forefront of your mind. Envision it and allow yourself to experience how it's making you feel in this moment. Witness it, whether it's uncomfortable or whether it's excited or whether it's both. The duality can exist inside your body. That's okay. But I just want you to sit with it for a minute. And then I want you to take a really big, deep breath through your nose and hold it. Gather up all of that energy that it's consuming within you and let it go. It's a big release. Feel yourself relax. Feel all of that room inside of your body that was taking up space that it didn't need to. And feel that just release. Feel yourself just come back in to who you are in this grounded place so that we can begin again. So that we can take on this day, that we can take on this new chapter, that we can take on this new adventure with a clear mind. Because it's as we let go that clarity can drop in so that we can set ourselves up for courageous action that's in alignment with who we truly are. Instead of just constantly moving through life and starting over and starting over and starting over, but doing it without a direction. Because I've done that. I've done that many times. Or I've started over in my life and I haven't had any direction other than forward. And now it feels like I'm starting over again, but with intentional movement forward, with intentional action towards where I truly desire to go. So if you're with me, if you resonate with any of this conversation, please let me know. Please share with me. Please reach out in the comments. Please follow along. Please leave a rate or review, or come say hi over on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook at Turn the Page Podcast. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what it is that you're going through and where it is in your life that you are starting over. Because at the end of the day, no matter what, if you are going through something, I guarantee somebody else in the world is going through it too. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for being here for this chaos, for the in between, and for all of the messages and emotions that come along with it. All right. Until next week. Bye-bye.